let's start with our first tutorial on Unity development. So before uh, building something, let's start with the basics that what this whole window and so many sections this video mean. So the first section is hierarchy tab, and this will contain all the 3D objects that you will create. Then there is inspector, and then there is scene and asset. Scene is where you will actually see the preview of the rendering of the 3D objects in Unity, and the game section will tell you what you will see your camera when you launch your application. Okay, so next thing is inspector, and inspector is usually the properties of the 3D object. So let's say I'm creating some kind of 3D cube. The 3D cube has corners, and then there is skin color like gray or red. Then there is physics material. Then there is animation material. Then there is script material. So all or when I say material, I mean file. Sorry. So the thing is that all of them are covered in inspector tab, and assets is like a folder that contains all the media that you will add in your application. So let's start our basics about uh, Unity. So let's see what currently is shown in the scene. So the first thing that you will see is main camera, and this is the main camera. As you can see, there is a camera icon. This camera is the one actually that tells you how you will see your video game, the starting camera. Okay, and the directional light is actually telling you okay, how the light is being shown. If I change its direction, something like day and night, it will be something like this. Now the sun direction is away from the surface, so the direction is away, and that means that the ground is now in dark position. So as soon as I bring it down, you will see that sunset, then there is sunlight. Okay, so this is something that is already present in your application. You can add additional lights as much as you like in a room where let's say you are creating a home and the sunlight does not directly pass through it, so you can create your own directional lights just like any 3D object. So basically sunlight itself is like a 3D mesh. Okay, so the next thing is camera, and when I talk about camera, usually camera is the direction of the y-axis. Okay, so the y-axis is usually the forward direction in your application. Sorry, z-axis. Y is vertical, means going towards the sky, and x-axis is left and right, and z-axis is moving forward or backward like this. This z-axis plus, this is z-axis minus, and you can see there are grid lines present here. These actually tell you the uh, actually the x, y, and z axis. Okay, so if I convert it into 2D, you can see this is the 2D direction, and this is the graph paper. Ignore the sky; it's just there. It does not mean that you are now in 3D mode. This is 2D mode. Okay, 2D mode, you can see that this is the origin place where everything is. I can actually reset them, and this is how this is reset. 0, 0. So bring back the 3D and plus camera. Okay, so this is how the things work. Okay, so if you are sometimes confused at what axis will be, which is y-axis or which is z-axis, you can always see axis icons here, and when you press Y, it will tell you the Y, or let's say the scene in y-axis format. This is z-axis, the actual 3D format, and x-axis is side, like left side or right side, and this is z-axis, y-axis. You can do everything. Okay, so if you think you don't know what one is the right axis for you, you can always try z-axis. I'm gonna click at z-axis. So z By now we are. Acha. When we now we are. Okay, so the reset one is this square. If you click it square, it will tell you what is the 3D. Okay, so when you create it, enter there are two modes: perspective and ISO. ISO is very confusing. I don't recommend you using it. Very I would recommend always you can see normal. So anyway, this is how you can see different directions of the scene. You are confused. Another thing is there are shortcuts Q, W, E, R, T, Y, and I think it's still Y. Okay. So when you press Q, it's moving the screen. You can see this is a hand, and then there is move key. Key is used for any control that you are a 3D object that you are controlling. So when you press W, it will show these X, Y, and Z axis arrow keys, so you can move that object in that dimension that it defines. Okay. So then there is E key, that is rotate. As you can see, this it's small window. This is our camera video. So camera window, and this is showing how the camera will see the world while you start video or video game. Okay. There can be multiple cameras, but for now let's focus on single camera. So the first thing right now we are going to do is create a 3D object, and let's check where it is located right now. Right now it is located somewhere the sky. You can see the original grid lines are below the cube, and cube is actually not on the ground. So what I'm going to do is select the cube. You can select the cube in place, either select it the hierarchy tab, click it, or you can select the cube directly and then just press uh, W. Although we don't need it, but by default I prefer you to have this as a W. Okay, then click on transform inspector, which is a transform property of this, and right click on it and just simply press reset. Now it is at the 0 comma or 0 comma 0 comma 0 origin, because I'm talking about x, y, and z axis. That's why I said 0 thrice. So now we are at the 0th origin. I'm gonna put this camera away, the way that you can see the, you can see now you can see cube. Okay. Now the problem is I want to create a ground here. So every object that you see here is easily uh, follow method, which is F key. If you are very far away and you want to see where is cube, just click at cube and press F, and then it will get you there. Okay. Okay, so I mistakenly edit in play mode, so I'm gonna edit in here. We didn't do that much. So this is our here. Okay, this is box, right? Okay, so now let's make a ground from it. So we have this three properties in H geometrical object, that is position, rotation, and scale. Okay, and scale is where we will be increasing the size or decreasing the size of the object. So in x-axis, if I type 500, because we are creating a very large ground, so what my target is that it's so big that it's easily ignorable that there is some empty space in the game. Okay, so Z axis is 500. Play. Now you can see that it is like a whole video game is in a certain plane. Okay, so moving further, and let's give this object some kind of texture. So we are going to click at sets and create material. So for now I'm just giving it some kind of color. When you type material, this is the new material, and I'm gonna go there, and in main map section I'm gonna change its color to something dark grayish. Yes, grayish. Just simply click and hold and drag it to the object. Now you have the object. Okay, this is our ground, and I can give it a some shining part. This metallic object has shining. This is a smooth object. I just gave it some kind of nothing really big. This is our object, and let's move further. So this is our cube. Let's give another create a new object called sphere. Follow. Here. Now you can see, since at the floor I have already put an object that is ground. I'm gonna make sure that our ground is now this. So you can see here that if I reset the position, we put it above the ground. Now our origin is somewhere at one position. Now it's not 0 at y-axis, because uh, 0th position has been captured by the ground. So before going further, if you run it, okay, first let's put camera in such a way that you can easily see. Oh, I already set it, so I don't have to worry about it. But I'm gonna run it. You can see the object is like flying or floating in the air. So we have to give it a physics, make sure that this object is not just a 3D object, rather it has all the slow. I don't know why some kind of lagging. Okay, so I check. So what we have to do it is give physics to the uh, ground. So I'm gonna box collider, and we are going to create a new. So physics material is actually where we will explain how our physics for this object will work. So like it's colliding or it's touching another 3D object, how should it behave, or so physics material, and this will be our ground physics. I just give it 0.06, and then I'm gonna get a. Well, let's check it first. Just giving and turning. Okay. So now our object box collider is working, and I have drag physics material inside it, because this physics material is actually configuration for the collider. What collider means is simply two objects colliding with each other. Then how should one behave? So ground physics, and yeah, this is our physics. My mistake. I have already by mistake added in sphere. So now this camera direction light, I'm gonna put it away because it's disturbing us. So cube and sorry, sphere. Take cube should be given the ground physics, and sphere should have, right. We are going to give it a body. It but it really means that it has gravity, and if there is nothing, it will just go to the center of the world of this Unity game. So I'm gonna check if it's falling or not. It should be falling, And as you can see, because of the uh, ground having physics of collider, and that it can react to the impact of another object, so this is how it will work. So before going further, let's discuss what physics is doing here, and physics material is doing. So we are simply telling the application that this object can have reaction. Okay, so if I put bounciness in it and run this application, now you will see here that it's the ball is bouncing back. So it's giving a bouncy structure to the surface. So physics material, without physics material, you cannot actually tell the collider that we are using here that how it will react to another collision of the object. So remember this, since this ground was a cube, so I have used box collider. It does not necessarily mean that for circle we have to use the box collider. By default, every round has a sphere collider. So sphere is actually know what it is. It's simply a physics material that can collide. So if I put same ground physics on the sphere collider and run the application, as you can see, now it's reacting twice the normal behavior. Why? Because I have already given the bouncy effect to the ground. So I'm gonna make it proper and tell the ground physics that slow down. You don't need to have a bouncy effect. Ball should have the bouncing effect, not the cube. Okay. If I put bouncing effect on the ground, it will also bounce back square shapes and other shapes that should not have the bouncy effect. So what I'm going to do is create a new physics material and call it a ball effect or ball physics. Okay. So this is a ball physics, and this will have bouncy effect. Now you can see that ground physics has zero bounciness, but ball physics has uh, bounciness of 1 unit. Okay, so now I'm gonna, instead of putting ground physics on the ball, I'm gonna add ball. Now let's run it. You can see this is giving a proper value. So this is how the in easy words, how the physics between two objects works. So what I'm going to do is select this object and press Ctrl D. It will create a new copy for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna place it exactly top of on top of the other sphere and check how physics is working for both these objects. You can see here, since both balls had bouncing effect, and when they two collided, the bouncing effect on the second ball was way too much, but now they have fallen. Okay, so if I, instead of this, I'm gonna put another cube here. Okay, this cube falls over. Take that are falling. So the best way to check if they are on top of each other, just reset the item, press. Now they are on top of. I haven't given box collider any physics. I'm gonna give it a ground physics because not balls has no bouncing effect, so we shouldn't be worry about anything. I have given it a rigid body. Now it has gravity. Okay. Okay. So now it's fine. But if I give it a very big fall, then let's check it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it a little bit so it does not directly uh, come down to the center. Now you can see it fell off. So this is how the physics works, and this is very easy part. So I hope everybody understands how ground physics is working. Okay. So if I just rotate it a little bit like this, now run it. So you can see most of the physics is actually handled by the Unity itself. Shouldn't be very difficult for you to understand now. Okay, so this is how we work with the physics. Okay, moving further, we don't need this object, and we are gonna check. Now even if it's at the top, we don't have to worry, it will just fall on the ground. I think it at the surface is not really it's not really required. If I the ground, since there is, even if I put it on top, game will just start. It will directly put everything to the ground. It's just a character is not bouncy, so it will always be starting like that. You have seen in different video games that when you start a game, it really looks like the character is little bit jumping in the start, then it just falls on the ground and your game starts. So it's usually because to check if the gravity is working or not. It is for that. So I hope the basics of physics are really clear to you.